Hey everyone, Justin from Vocal Ministry. I'm coming to you today with my very first English video. I've got plenty of other videos that I've uploaded recently and made active and available in Chinese Mandarin. The plan is to go back through and do accompanying English videos, but today I'm doing an accompanying video for my most recent lesson in Mandarin, and that's because of the timing. Chinese New Year. Friday was Chinese New Year, and Saturday being the first of the Chinese New Year, the very first day of what they consider to be spring. And I wanted to get this out so that everybody could benefit from what I'm having to share about it in both Mandarin and English. A little bit about me: 20 plus years of experience as an interpreter. Translator in Mandarin and Thai. I used to teach both languages. I'm in seminary working on my Master's of Divinity. And I voluntarily teach and preach the Bible in Mandarin and sometimes in English too, but mostly Mandarin. My target audience is Mandarin Chinese speakers, be they saved or not. And I like to incorporate a little bit of Chinese culture, history, elements of the Chinese language, especially the written language, and how it all relates to the Bible. So it makes it easier for them to be able to grasp what I'm teaching and relate to it. Now, why am I doing English? Well, because I believe everybody can benefit from what I have to teach, not just Chinese speakers. Okay, there are things that I think you guys are going to find very interesting, especially about the ancient Chinese and their worship practices, and how I believe those worship practices indicate that initially the ancient Chinese did worship the one true God, the God of the Bible. So anyhow, let's go ahead and get into it too. So my wife asked me, she says, hey, you like to teach about Chinese culture and everything in the Bible. Does the Bible say anything about Chinese New Year? And I said, well, no. I mean, my initial idea was to continue on with my lessons, my regular lessons, where we're doing the book of Genesis right now. And then I thought about it and I said, well, you know what? Why not? So the Bible does talk about the moon and the Chinese calendar, what they call the lunar calendar or the farmer's calendar in Chinese. Is a lunar calendar. It's a 360-day year, very similar to other cultures with lunar calendars, but when they celebrate their new year, it is a little bit different. From what I understand, Koreans, Japanese, and other Asian cultures follow along with the Chinese calendar. And so, according to the Chinese calendar, which, like I said, is lunar, this year is the year of the dragon. So both of those elements are mentioned in the Bible, so I figured I'd go ahead and talk about them. So getting into it, basically, like I said, 360-day calendar as opposed to ours, which is a 365-day year, and we follow a solar calendar. But either way, I include elements of all celestial bodies, not just the moon in this presentation. Just because they're all tied in together. So the reasons for existence. Why does the moon exist? So according to the Bible, God made the sun, the moon, and all the heavenly bodies. Okay, he made everything: comets, asteroids, planetoids, dwarf stars, you name it. Everything that's out there was made by God. God also, according to both Amos and Job, made the constellations. Okay, the actual names of the constellations are mentioned. He mentions Orion, he mentions the Pleiades, he mentions Ursa, the bear. Um, and so God gave us these constellations not as something for us to do, divinations and things like that, but so that we can look at them and understand, believe it or not, there are books out there that describe uh, the story of salvation within the constellations. So God gave us those constellations as a story of salvation, but also as a tool so that we can be able to tell things like, what what time of the year we're in, like months and seasons, and also to a degree, what year we're in too. Um, I mean, they could track things like what they call ages and stuff based on um, which of uh, the constellations is in what position. Um, and this is stuff that not just the ancient Bible followers knew. This is stuff that other cultures knew as well. God gives us the moon, sun, stars, and all of that also for light. Okay, so we have light that can guide us during the day, and the greater light and the lesser lights for the night. Um, God also gave us, like I said, these celestial bodies to be able to tell seasons and things. The greater light, the sun is for the day, the moon and stars for the night. According to the Bible, we can also look at the signs, the stars, as a means of understanding timing and prophecy. Now, don't ask me exactly how that works, but obviously, when Jesus was born, the wise men were following a star. They were looking at the sky, and they were looking at indications of when Messiah would come in the stars themselves, not just Daniel's prediction based on days, but also according to the stars. Um, Another thing that's not in the Bible though is that the moon also regulates tides and other natural phenomena. So these bodies have a purpose. They have a reason for existing. They aren't there just for decoration and for light. Okay. And you can see here from this graphic that there are the stars and things or the constellations and their positions and telling us what time of the year we're in, like months and stuff. I don't fully understand this stuff. I'm not an astrologist or anything like that, but just so that you can see it in use. The moon, phases of the moon, telling us what day of the month we're in. Especially if you're on a lunar calendar, 30 phases. Well, 29 if you double on the new moon, but each phase indicates a new day, and so halfway through the month would be the full moon, and the new moon would be the end or the beginning of the month. Sun, we can also understand like what season we're in, depending on the position of the sun, and also depending on where the sun is in the sky, we can know what time of day it is. Very interesting stuff. Created things, so we know that God tells us, that the sun, moon, and stars are only creations. They're tools. Okay, God uses them. They are not to be worshipped. Right, the ancient Sumerians and other cultures started worshiping the stars. That's why they built the Tower of Babel, was so that they could try to, reach the heavens through worshiping heavenly bodies. We're told that the stars and moon and everything praise God through their existence. Okay, I don't think that they're actually sitting there shouting hallelujah, but their existence alone praises God. God controls them. If you remember In Joshua, there was a point in Joshua where Joshua, with the power of God, stopped the sun. And in order to be able to conduct a very long attack. And so God controls and can stop the moon, the sun, and do all kinds of things. Um, with that, you know, you take a look here at, I was talking about Sumerians. Well, here they are. Here's a cartograph of Sumerians, and there's a king and his wise men explaining things to him, and they are using the sun, the moon, and the stars to be able to make predictions and prophecy and stuff like that. Okay, Bible events. So talking about Bible events, God one day is going to turn the moon to blood, uh, and He's also going to eventually one day uh, as part of his judgment on the earth, he's going to blacken out the sun and the moon. Now, we're told in 2 Peter that God is going to destroy the sun, moon, and stars and remake everything. There are those that believe that the fiery judgment that comes is going to be more like the flood was. It's going to purify and remove all corruption due to sin rather than a actual complete destruction. But either way, fire's going to come and it's going to do some serious stuff to the sun, moon, and stars. God is going to not cease the seasons until the end of the earth. So in other words, as long as the earth exists, the seasons will continue. And so this also leads a lot of people to think that God is going to completely destroy everything. Um, I'm kind of on the fence about that one, but we could talk about that later. But just understand that all of this ties in. Okay, so the dragon. So we just talked about the moon, and obviously, how does the moon tie into the Lunar New Year? Well, the Chinese New Year being a lunar calendar, there you go. It's based on the moon. Dragon. So this being the year of the dragon, so I just want to talk a little bit about dragons. So dragons are mentioned in the Bible. The term dragon is mentioned. However, it's only mentioned in concert with the name Satan or Lucifer. So whenever they talk about the dragon, they're talking about the devil. Specifically, the red dragon of Revelation, that old serpent, that serpent of old. Okay. However, there are other dragon-like creatures that are mentioned. So there's a great sea serpent called Leviathan, who is mentioned. God is mentioned as having crushed Leviathan in the future. We have Behemoth, who's mentioned. That's like a brontosaurus. The description is very much like that of one of the largest dinosaurs ever known to have existed. Rahab. We're not talking about Rahab the harlot from Jericho. We're talking about Rahab, the great sea beast. And a lot of people think that it is Rahab that is the one that swallowed Jonah. So people think it was a whale, but that's kind of a mistranslation. It's a great fish in Hebrew. Dug Gadol. Dug Gadol means a large or great fish. And in Hebrew culture, ancient Hebrew culture, they didn't really distinguish between what kind of creature. Anything living in the sea was pretty much fish or fish kind. And so this Rahab is a great sea beast that is mentioned. Also, it's possibly a type of aquatic dinosaur, a lot like I think Leviathan was. Okay. Now, dragons have, believe it or not, if you look at a lot of descriptions of dragons, they have features that are like that of dinosaurs. Now, dinosaurs were not mentioned in the Bible, obviously, because the word dinosaur did not exist till the 1800s. And prior to that, people would call anything that looked like what we call a dinosaur. Guess what? A dragon. In Chinese, uh, the word for dinosaur is uh, scary or fearsome dragon. So that says it all right there. And dragons exist in pretty much every culture. Every culture and their legends of the past include some kind of dragon. Now, just because the Chinese dragon looks and acts a little bit different than the dragons of our stories of the West and of other cultures, Africa, the Americas, doesn't mean that they're two different things. Um, they're all scaly beasts. Okay. Now, some cultures, like Chinese culture, view dragons as lucky, but not all dragons. Some dragons are destructive. Okay, even in Chinese culture. Now let's get into some photos here. So here's a picture that I found of artist depiction of Leviathan. If you look, it looks like a serpent with some fish-like fins on it. I wanted to say wings, but they're like fins. Um, Behemoth here, the very description looks just like. I mean, go to Jonah and take a look at that description. And if you don't come away thinking of a brontosaur, then I don't know what to tell you there. uh, Rahab, okay. This is Rahab based on an artist depiction. And take a look at this one. Uh, this is a kind of aquatic dinosaur that, several skeletons, fossil, complete fossils have been found of these things, and a lot like, uh, what's described here, okay? And then, and that's pretty much it. So happy Lunar New Year, 2024. This is the year of the dragon. And so, I hope you guys got something out of this, and uh, I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's short, but look forward to seeing more videos from me in English. And that's it. Take care.